Pennsylvania, welcome to another edition of Everything They Never Told You. I'm Joe Wilson, host here with my good friend Joe Wirbick. How are you, buddy?
Joe, I am doing wonderfully.
Sequinox, an amazing wealth management firm. You're all over, man, all over PA. You've got a great place out in Scottsdale, Arizona. And you've been in this business just a few years.
A few years.
Just
going on 30.
I was going to say almost 30.
Yeah, almost 30 years. I can't believe it. The time has really flown by.
Time keeps on slipping.
Yeah. We were just talking about time. We were just talking about being Gen Xers.
Well, we're almost the same age.
Yes.
You are my elder
I
by
am
a handful of months.
A few months older than you, yes.
We are a Gen X.
So maybe you should be calling me sir. Maybe.
Yes, sir. Sir, yes, sir. I agree. We've got an exciting topic here I want to go over with you today, and we're going to get Joe's feedback on all of these. It's a recent survey that came out from Schroders, and I think this is going to be great because what we're seeing is so many of you are worried. I got a feeling about some of these exact same things. The top 5 concerns right now, it's a nationwide survey, and maybe this is good for you at home to kind of keep some notes and say, well, man, that's my number 1 concern, that's my number 3. So we're going to start here in reverse order.
Okay.
Number 1 concern right now, 70% in this survey said their biggest concern is outliving their money. Outliving their money. Talk about that a little bit.
It's kind of sad. I would look at that as a lack of knowledge, a lack of understanding of your portfolio, a lack of understanding of what you need, thereby getting a plan and getting that information. If you're out there and you're one of those people who are you said 70%. 70% are concerned.
It was 68. It's in 2024, it's up another 2% to 70%.
So 7 out of 10 people are concerned they won't have enough money to last throughout their retirement years. That tells me they don't have a plan. They don't know what they're going to need to spend or how they're going to get that money.
They're going to start.
Or even how to start to do it. So getting a plan is the number 1 step you can take. Because I'll tell you, 0 of my clients, not 70%, I'd say 100% are certain that they will have enough money to last throughout their retirement years. And that's a difference between working with a planner who's built a plan for you and just working with any old advisor out there.
Well, I think you just said what I was going to ask you is that, well, I'm getting a statement every month, Joe. Isn't my statement a plan? And we hear that, right? People, you're prolific, just amazing savers. And I've got money. My statement says I have $1 million. What's wrong with that? How is that not a plan?
That's just one piece of the puzzle.
What is about, and it's a history report. It's not even
and it might be one of those, 200,000-300,000 piece puzzles, and you're just talking about one piece. That's a statement. You need to understand the tax implications, the pensions through Social Security, the Medicare implications. You need to understand volatility in the market. What is your drawdown going to look like? Sequence of returns. I mean, all of these are topics that you should be discussing with whoever you're working with. If you're not working with somebody, you should be working with somebody.
It's 3D chess.
Sitting down and figuring this out.
Yeah, it's 3D chess, and every little thing you pull a lever here will affect the lever there. And I think that's so important. What you do there in Pennsylvania and in Scottsdale is helping the modern retiree realize, okay, just because it has that number in the statement, it's not what you have, it's what you get to keep. I know your specialty is on that. It truly is amazing, and I think that's a huge number. And it's a fear because when you look at when you see the volatility we've had in the past, I get it. I think it's concerned, but I think I'm with you. It's just a lack of planning.
And lack of understanding. And if you haven't started this process yet, and maybe you aren't ready to sit down with an advisor, I took the time years ago to write a book, best-selling book on Amazon, Everything They Never Told You About Retirement.
I like saying it this way,
Everything they never told you about retirement, to teach you how to build that plan on your own. If you want to do that, we walk you through step by step. We talk about taxation. We talk about Social Security. We talk about income planning. We have it broken out chapter by chapter, and you don't have to read it in order. That's the beauty about the book, is you can read the chapters that mean the most to you first off, and then explore the book as you go. And I made it in such a way that the average person can get through it about an hour. Do you know what percentage of Americans will read a book after high school?
Oh, it's got to be just minuscule.
10%.
Wow.
Only 10% of Americans will read a book after high school, and this is a book you can get through. Everybody who's read this book said they sit down, they start reading it within an hour, they've gotten through it, and then they realize, oh, you know what, might be a little bit more difficult, and maybe I do need to sit down with somebody.
Well, you definitely.
But this is a starting point.
And we're going to talk about how people can get that here in just a second. Before we go to break, I want to hit the the next one, and I think this is big. We're talking right now about the top 5 concerns. This is a recent report from Schroders. Number 1, outliving your asset was number 5, I should say. At number 4, not knowing how to best generate income and where to start taking the assets. I find that amazing. 71%, that's up 2% from 2000.
Not knowing where to start.
Where do I start? I've got all these accounts. Which one do I take first? It's a huge concern because people don't have a
plan.
There you go.
You need a plan, because when you're retired, that means there's no more income. And when there's no more income, it has to come from somewhere. It's either going to come from Social Security or it's going to come from your retirement. So which one do you pick first? The majority of Americans pick Social Security to say, I want to pull from that because that's my money, Joe. That's what they say. That's my money and I want to get it before the government takes it away from me. And they typically make that decision out of fear and not out of facts.
Yeah.
And you got to run those numbers. You got to see, maybe you shouldn't be pulling from Social Security first. Maybe you should be pulling from your retirement assets. And that's why you need to get a plan to see which is the optimal way to get the income in your retirement. And you won't be one of these 71% of Americans who have no idea. Again, my clients aren't in that group because they know how they're getting paid and they're getting paid every month and they're comfortable with it. They're happy.
It is amazing to me when you look at folks that have worked 30, 40 years and they're getting ready to cross that retirement threshold. And so many times they'll come in and visit and they don't even know, where do I get the dollar first? Do I take it from this taxable account? Do I take it from this tax-free account? Where do I go? If that's you right now, if you're not sure, man, I've saved of this money, I'm a little worried about, will I outlive my assets? I'm a little worried about, where do I go to start getting income? Because when you say take this job and shove it, everything you saved, that is your income. You're liking it to your greatest dream job. That's retirement. But you better know where you're going to get your income because it becomes the outcome. Just these 2 segments here, I got a feeling that you're probably thinking, wow, I'm not sure. And this is why we call this show Everything That They Never Told You. One of the great things that Joe and his team does is they allow an opportunity for you to meet with them absolutely free. Joe talked about his book. They're going to put up a QR code in a little bit. If you want a free copy of this, and it's a great book, man, this is awesome. Scan that QR code. It'll take you to a landing page. You can put in a little bit of information. And Joe, you're going to send this for how much?
Free.
Free.
We're going to get that book out to you right away.
Now listen, this is an opportunity for you to gain knowledge. Joe and his firm, they're an advice-driven firm. There's a lot of advice in here to help put you on a better plan so you can be and stay retirement ready. But you got to get the information. The other thing you can do is you can scan that QR code and request a time to sit down with him or his amazing team. They'll meet you via Zoom. They'll meet you in person, or maybe just like the old-fashioned way.
As a good saver, you've been putting away money during your working years. Studies find that the biggest fear of retirees is running out of money. Market volatility isn't just the downward movement of stock prices, it's the size and frequency of change. The more dramatic the ups and downs, the higher the volatility. This can put savers who are newly retired or a few years away from being retired at greater risk. Today's generation of retirees is not receiving traditional pensions as our parents or grandparents did. Instead, we have retirement accounts such as 401ks or 403bs. These accounts typically expose your money to market risk. The last thing you want right before retirement is to lose a portion of the money you need for income. But how do you turn these accounts into a retirement income? Is it safe to keep all your retirement money sitting in the stock market? The last thing you want is to lose a portion of the money you need for income due to market loss. By working with a financial professional, you can learn how to turn a portion of your savings into an income stream for life and income for the life of your spouse if you're married. We all have moments in our lives when we wish we had taken action sooner. Don't let procrastination reign on your retirement parade. Act now before it's too late. Please call our office to set up your no-cost, no-obligation retirement income review today.
Pennsylvania, welcome back. We're talking about the top 5 concerns right now at a recent survey by Schroders 2025 retirement survey nationally. Talks about number 5 being outliving your assets, Joe.
Scary.
Number 4, not knowing how to generate income or where to start taking your money from. Number 3, concerned about a major market loss and reducing your assets right here in retirement. Talk about market vol and how it affects the amount of retirees.
Number 3 concern is a major market loss. Well, again, it comes back, I hate to say it, like a broken record. It comes back to a plan. The old saying, not putting all your eggs in one basket.
Yes.
And not drawing down from a volatile portfolio. I mean, you should have a plan built that your dollars for income are coming from safe assets that won't be affected by market volatility.
So you're saying you, and I know you do this because I understand what you do, but you're saying managing all the money the same way like you did when you're working.
Oh, it's bad.
It's very different when you're starting to turn on income.
Yeah, I mean, when you're doing the contribution, the growth phase versus the distribution phase, those are 2 separate and distinct phases of your life. And unfortunately, a lot of the advisors are giving the same advice throughout your entire career. When you're working and when you're retired, they have you in the same bucket of assets. And a major market downturn before, during your retirement can severely negatively affect that portfolio. So you want to make sure you're diversifying your assets. You have some risky assets to help offset inflation, because inflation's been a big issue. I mean, just a few years ago, it hit 9%.
Yeah.
9%.
Yeah, it's huge.
And Powell's doing everything he can right now to bring it down. We're floating between 2 to 3%, which is a good place. Doesn't mean that it won't go high again. So you have to have that growth part of your assets to help protect inflation, but you have to have a safety part. And then maybe you have to have an income part, a part that's giving you income, that's generating income, guaranteed income. You want that income to last how long?
Well, as long as you have breath in your body.
As long as you're alive, you want that income coming in. So again, not having everything in one solution.
So before
there's no one cure-all for this.
But wouldn't you say, and I know you see it, what about a target date fund? I mean, isn't that the whole point? The older you get, it gets a little bit more conservative. I love Salisbury steak TV dinners growing up. It's kind of the reason I'm pleasantly plump.
Can I tell you a
But I sure don't want to live on them every day. Talk about the target date fund.
Can I tell you a story about the target date
I hope
fund?
you would.
I'm sitting down with a retiring postal worker.
Okay.
It is 2008. Anybody remember what happened in 2008?
It's a little ugly in the
It's about September of 2008. Now, if you remember, the stock market peaked September of 2007 and bottomed in March of 2009.
That's right.
So this gentleman, March 9th of 2009, very good. This gentleman had 100% of his money in his TSP, right? And it was all in a Target 2009 fund because he was about to retire.
Oh, Lord.
So what do you think his portfolio is down? The market's down. He has all of his money in a Target 2009 fund. He was down 43%.
Oh, my goodness. Right.
He had a 43% loss in the account that was targeted to retire in just a few months. It's September. He's retiring in 4 months. He's going to be retired. I mean, to think that you look at these funds and you truly believe that this is a solution because they put a date on there and you're going to be safe. That's not what it is. It's not designed.
Well, it's the easy button. It's designed to be an easy button. It's the
just
TV.
As it's easy. Yeah, just as it's easy doesn't mean it's the right way.
Hey, if that's you, if you got a target date fund, I think you should be calling this number 844-403-2275 because you need to have a clear plan for your hard-earned assets. The easy button and target date fund's not it. Why? Because volatility is real. All right, let's go to the number 2. I think this is fascinating. I think this is growing personally. And the number 2 scare right now that people are worried about, modern retirees, is higher than expected healthcare costs. Joe, this came in at 86%, or we're concerned about it, up 2%. It was 84 in 2024, up 2%.
86%.
I think this is because we're living longer.
Which is a good thing. If we're healthy, if we maintain our health, we want to live a long, happy, healthy life, right? But 86% are worried about that. So again, I hate to say it, coming back to a plan, but one of the pieces I like to use, I like health savings accounts. I
Talk about that. Break that.
Really like, if you have the opportunity to have a health savings account, it's the most tax advantageous plan out there. Because when you put the money into the plan, the government gives you a tax deduction, meaning you don't have to pay tax on that.
Ding.
The plan grows tax deferred.
Ding.
You don't have to pay taxes every single year. And if you use the dollars for medical expenses, even in retirement, the money comes out tax-free.
Ding, 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 ding.
Which there's no other plan like this. There is no other tax code that allows you to put money in pre-tax, grow tax deferred, and then access it tax-free. So if you don't have an HSA, you should get an HSA. You should be putting money into the HSA. And I try to tell my clients, Don't spend the HSA when you're working. Save that HSA for when you're retired. Now you have a nice savings account that can help offset some of those expenses. If you have a good few $100,000 sitting in a health savings account, you're going to feel better to know that when I have an expense come out, I can pull it out of my HSA.
And you'd rather use after-tax dollars anyway. I mean, no one wants to go work all your life. Then every time you go to take money out of an account, you're saying, well, how much do I have to take? Because I got to pay taxes.
You got to pay taxes on it at an unknown tax rate in an unknown future. So you don't know how much money you need. You don't know where you're going to get it, and you don't know how much taxes you're going to pay on it. That's terrible.
When you look at longevity, and when you look at how long people are living, folks, think about this for a second. If you're 65 and you're getting ready to retire, you have to plan for a 30-plus year retirement.
Be safe.
A long time. Why? Because we are living longer. I found this stat interesting the other day, and that started to cause me to reflect. How many people do I know that are at this age? A 90-year-old today, Joe, 90%, not a 90s here, 90% of 90-year-olds today are alive now. Think I just said that the majority of folks that are 90 years old are alive now. That is the best example I'm seeing of people living longer. Insurance companies are extending the algorithms, the pocket nerds. They are now making this all longer life expectancy. Why? Because just as though we solved cholera and we solved typhoid fever and scarlet fever, those were the leading causes of death at one time. They're not anymore. Why? Because we advanced clean water, antibiotics. We're making that level of adjustment. We are living longer. So the question you have to ask yourself right now, does your current retirement plan, will it sustain after tax, after inflation, understanding volatility, knowing where you can go to get money that's making sure you get your income and not selling when the market's down, that's going to last you not 10 years, not 20 years, but 30 plus years. And if you don't, boy, we're glad you're watching. And if this is the first time you've heard this, I'm not shocked. Why? Because it's the name of the show, Everything They've Never Told You. Speaking of which, this amazing book, Joe covers a lot of the stuff we're talking about today in this book. Do you want a copy? You should have one. I'm going to put up a QR code. Take out your phone. It's kind of right there. Scan it. It'll lead you to a landing page. You fill that information out, and they will send this copy to you absolutely free. Not off. That's very kind of you. You better be giving me one of these things today. I've read it. It's awesome. Folks, you get one shot at retirement. Today's the day to act and start getting a plan so you can have the retirement of your dreams. Our team's standing by. Call the phone number on your screen. Set up a QR code and put up a time to meet with Joe and his amazing team at Sequinox. Why? This is the time to get confident about your retirement and not worry about the fears. When we come back from break, we're going to talk about the number one fear right now. Stay tuned. You're watching Everything They Never Told You.
Good morning, Ben.
Good morning, Ben. Hey, birthday party for Carol and 5. Happy birthday to you.
Good morning, Ben. Happy Monday.
Daryl's birthday, be there or be square. Happy birthday to you. As you can see from our quarterly report on slide number 62, we're trending in the right direction. All signs point to a very positive outlook for the next several years. If you peel back the onion...
Ben, do you have anything to add?
The work never seems to end until the day it finally does. Call today to get your free written financial plan so you may live every day to the fullest and enjoy the retirement of your dreams.
Everybody, welcome back. Everything They Never Told You. We're having a great discussion here. The top 5 concerns right now, based upon Schroders doing a national survey of modern retirees. But we've covered quite a bit of topic. Are you ready to hit number 1?
I'm excited. I want to know what number 1 is.
Number 1, at 92%
92%.
It was 89 in 2024. It's cranking up. The number one concern, and I'm not surprised by this, that inflation is lessening the value of these hard-earned retirement dollars. Think about how this world has shifted and cost in just the last 5 years. Joe, I know we were talking about this at dinner. So many folks are coming in that have saved money, watching the show, scheduling an appointment, coming in and saying, man, we thought we had a plan, but the dollars aren't just stretching as far, and the market's at an all-time high. Talk about inflation and the errors you guys are seeing right now with financial plans.
Well, you know, when it comes to inflation, it's just realizing that every year that you live in retirement, it's going to cost more dollars to meet the standards, just the basic standards of living. You know, this $100 is not worth what it was worth even just a few years ago. A study just showed us that if you had $100,000 in your portfolio to live on expenses, and, you know, use that in 2020, today you would need $125,000 to cover the exact
25% more
expenses. 25% more in just 5 years. Now, we had COVID in there. We had 40% of all US dollars ever printed in the history of the United States were printed over the last 5 years.
Yeah.
So that was a massive amount. We hit inflation, hit 9%. But still, you're talking about an average 50 year of close to 4% inflation. That's high.
But think about the next,
planning that
you have to,
for the next possible 30 years.
30 plus years.
And you said a very important statistic. You said 90% of 90-year-olds. The statistic I like to talk about is that 85% of everybody over the age 85 in America today is female.
Wow.
A lot of people, unfortunately, the males die before the females. And we're seeing people maybe not being prepared. Maybe they weren't set up for success. Maybe they didn't have that plan in place to make sure. Maybe the guys were handling the finances. Maybe they were handling the plans. That's why when my clients come in, I want to work with both. I want the husband and wife involved. I want them to be understanding what's going on throughout the entire process. You know what the average widow age in America is today?
I ran across this the other day.
This is shocking. I mean, if you had to guess.
If I remember right, it was like 58.
55.
Right. Wow.
The average age that a woman becomes a widow in America today is 55, and 85% of everybody over age 85 is female. Wow. So we have to have a plan, not just for our individual selves, but for both of our spouses, and make sure that if, you know, he goes first, she could live another 10, 15, or 20 years, and that money isn't going to go as far if you haven't planned appropriately. Again, making sure the portfolio has that growth portion to offset inflation, you know, and then having that portion to pay for income. It's very important inside your plan that you may not have. And if you don't have a plan, call the number below, 844-403-2275. We'll build a plan for you and show you how to make sure that this gets done, so you're not one of the 91% or 70% or 86%. You know, it drives me crazy that people just don't have this information. Well, and they're not going out and they're not getting it. And please, don't rely on ChatGPT. Don't rely on the internet. It's amazing. I go to these AI and I ask them financial questions and they get it wrong 9 times out of 10. That's not the place you want to go to get financial advice, people.
Oh, you've worked too hard. And when you look at understanding these fears, and I think what you just talked about is truly planning. But think about it in your situation where you're sitting at home. Look at all the money you have in a 401k, or if you're a government worker, 457, 403b if you're a nonprofit teacher. Maybe it's an IRA. And what's amazing to me, it's the worst thing in our tax code. The most favorable tax code is married filing jointly.
100% the best way.
But you just said that a mid-50-year-old is the average age of a widower, which means the following year, maybe they've been married 25 years. Maybe they've been married 20 years. That's a long time to be in that tax code. But what happens the following year when that person is no longer married? They revert to the single bracket, which is significantly higher. It's why tax and inflation planning when it comes to income must be a vital part of every retirement plan.
100%. You have to look at it for your lifetime and for whoever's left. You have to make sure that you're planning. I'll sit down with my clients and we'll put in life expectancies and we'll ask them. And unfortunately, a lot of people give me ages that are a little too young in my ideal world. So I'll want to plan for 90, 95, 100. Why not plan a little bit longer just to be safe and make sure that we're using those inflation numbers? You know, maybe you live on $6,000, $7,000 a month today. 20 years from now, you might need $12,000, $13,000 a month to cover the exact same expenses.
You have to manage inflation and taxes
Be
on top.
building that every step of the way. And you have to be redoing the plan every single year. This is not a static, set it and forget it kind of part of your plan. You got to be looking at it every single year, making sure it's working with the environment that we're in.
And I think it's important before we wrap up this show, because it's truly why you called your name, the name you called it, Sequinox. Break that down for us before we end here today.
So, started the company 23 years ago, and I wanted to work with pre-retirees and retirees. And so we thought, what is that in life? And it's really, it's a change. It's kind of a change of seasons, right? It's like the next season. So Sequinox, 2 words, sequel for next.
What's next?
Equinox for season. The next season of your life is retirement. And you have to be ready for that. And it's never too early to start this planning process. This isn't something that you want to wait until you have retired. This isn't something you want to wait until you're in your mid-70s or late 70s. You want to be sitting down with an advisor, I'd say a good 5 years, maybe 10 years. If you don't have a plan, the earlier the better. That gives us more time to stretch out. If we're going to look at Roth conversions, we can be more tax efficient with your dollars. You know, the younger my clients come in, when they come in to see me the first time, the more effective I can be as an advisor.
And the more efficient their plan can be.
The more efficient, the less costly on those conversions, the more money they're going to have. It's all around better. So if you haven't done this yet, if you haven't sat down with a true certified financial planner, you have an advisor, great. But maybe that advisor is just helping you with your investments. There's an entire world out there that you may not be aware of. The number one thing my clients say is, I never heard this before.
Yeah.
You're the first person who told me all of these.
It's everything they never told me about retirement.
That's why you have to come in. That number below, 844-403-2275. Call in, set up a time so we can sit down, build your complimentary plan, hit the QR code to get your free copy of my book, Everything They Never Told You About Retirement, and let us help you begin to not be a statistic like we talked about there.
That.
I don't want you to be one of the 70%, the 80%. I want you to be 100% certain that you will be okay in retirement. Check us back next week, and thank you very much. I'll see you then.